next day we look over and our neighbors are moving in. And she's like, oh shit. Do you know who that is? Or do you know who's moving in over there? And it was a girl. And she was from like a few towns over, but she was kind of known to mess with like a bunch of like gangbangers from a specific gang. And I'm like, oh great, you know, they're probably going to be loud and annoying and not the best neighbors, you know. I worked nights, so usually like it wouldn't be a huge deal if they were just loud, you know, because I was not going to bed until 2 in the morning anyways. But the unsavory characters were equally unsavory as my kid's dad, you know. And so we were there for like not that long, maybe like 2 months, you know, like a summer. It was summertime. And we knew a few people in the neighborhood because this is like where we're from, and they'd come over and smoke once in a while, or like in the basement only, or drink or whatever. And I guess, yeah, we were underage, so whatever. But most of the time I was just like upstairs. Like I'd come down for a little bit, you know, if I could, but most of the time I was upstairs. I had a baby, or I was working. I was getting this feeling, and I asked my friend too, like, do you feel like you're being watched? She's like, yes. I was like, this is creepy. Like, I remember looking out the window like, this is weird, you know? But I don't know. And then the only other thing I could think of, like, that was possibly had something to do with this, was that my friend's little brother 2 times came over and stole. Like, she would let him in and then he would steal money. And so I think 2 times I made a report, like, this is gone or that's gone. And one time I was like sleeping upstairs. You'd think I'd lock, I think the door, I don't know if the doors were locked or not, but I was sleeping upstairs with a baby. I mean, there's a lot of idiot moves on my part here, but, and I don't know if the door was locked or not, but I had like a hook by the door and my purse, you know, come in the door, hang my purse and keys up there. We came down and my shit was just gone. So I think that was one of the times that I reported it, because I needed to get like a new ID, a new everything. And it was our little brother. He'll admit it, like all these years later, he's like, he thinks it's funny. But, like the night before, there was one time we did, like, we were outside in the yard, and the neighbors were like, they were outside too, and they were like, do you guys want like a beer or something? So we did go one time, we went over there and sat like on their porch and had beers and stuff. gotta get me some pants. So I pointed to the drawer where the pants were. And they put pants on me. They weren't mean and they weren't aggressive. But I was like, what the hell is going on? Because I'll point you to what I have. And at the time, I had a dime sack. Okay? $10 worth of weed. I was like, I have a dime sack. Like, you don't need to tear the place up. Nope. They got my dime sack. That was enough to arrest me at the time. And they tore my place up. Every cereal box, every piece of furniture, everything was ruined. My house was ruined. They were on a mission. I don't know why. So they get to my roommate's room, and she had like, after they got the dime sack, and that was enough to arrest me, they were like, take her down. So they put me in a car. They get to my roommate's room, and I see that she had somebody over. I did not know she had somebody over, but I did recognize the guy. She had had him over before. He had a warrant. So when they ran his information, they were like, take him. So he was going to jail with me. And then my roommate slash friend had some paraphernalia, just like two bowls or something. And she wouldn't take the blame for them. She did this. They were in her room where she was living with was sleeping and was with this guy, and they had because I was like the person on the lease, I had to take the blame for her paraphernalia, which each at that time was like $1,000. So I really didn't know, and kind of like at the time I was like, you know, I needed her to come bail me out, so I was just like, okay. So she did. So I get down to the station or whatever, and the dude that she was just with, like, we were sitting next to each other, and he's like, oh, I think I'm gonna be going away for a long time. Can I touch your leg? And I was like, you cannot touch my leg. You deserve to go away for a long time just for asking that question. So, anyways, so she bails me out, and I go home to like this mess, right? And the landlord's pissed. Like, he's like, you guys gotta go. And I was like, because, okay, yeah, you're right, we gotta go. But why did this happen? I had a dime sack. She had 2 bowls and no weed. Why did this happen? So I don't know if they got like false information, or if like it was clear to us that the neighbors were selling drugs, but you can't mess that up that bad, right? Like, you can't, you cannot. What's the, do you know how many man hours it takes to do a raid? Do you know how much money they're paying these guys to like watch? And you got a dime sack. So in the end you recouped, you know, whatever my charge was for the weed, and then maybe like $2,000. But I had to get a lawyer, and like my friend was like, well, I'll pay you back for the charges for the bulls, but pay me back for the lawyer too. Like, pay. What's crazy is I want my money back now, because it was a dime sack, and you can have a dime sack and you can have balls. charge you extra. You know, they'll charge you $80 to like sit down for 10 minutes and give you a printout that their secretary printed out. Yeah, just a completely ridiculous, unnecessary, inefficient, botched raid where I was the one that, oh, you know, you have to replace everything they ruined. So like my furniture, everything. I will say, like, thank God that I don't know if they knew that, but that my baby had slept over at my grandparents'. I don't know if they were like, okay, let's do it tonight because the baby's not there. I doubt it. But I mean, thank God that he wasn't there. Because I don't know. Well, I guess since my roommate didn't take the blame for anything, she could have babysat for an hour until she could come get me. You know, and I don't know if it's, you know, maybe my kid's, Julian's dad, like maybe he had something to do with it. Like, there is just really no telling now. I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad. So yeah, that is the story of me being a teenager, a dumb teenager. And if you glean anything from this, it's if you have luck like mine, you cannot even hang out with people that are unaccountable or that are gonna let you take the blame for stuff, or that will bring other bad people around when you're not there, or whatever the case may be. Like, this is just a running theme in my life, and I'm not trying to say, like, I did a lot. Every time I'm working here, this same vehicle does that. It's a running theme in my life. Like, I'm not gonna get away with anything. And that said, like, I've done a lot of dumb stuff, and I deserve a lot of the things that have happened to me. But there's a whole host of things that, like, the characters that I was running around with just let me go down for. I could do a whole, like, playlist of these stories. And the one friend that I lived with, I probably have 3 just with her. Till it got to the point where, like, because I'm in AA, I finally had a sponsor that was like, whoa, why are you friends with this woman? And that hit hard. But anyways, that's the raid story. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it provided some kind of distraction, because right now, with what's going on, I've cried real tears over what I've watched in the news over the past few days. Like, I don't know. I don't even want to get into it. Let's do prayer. Let's do action. Let's do empathy. Let's do all that. And I will see y'all. Oh, if you have not hit like, hit like. If you have not hit subscribe, hit subscribe. I'd really like to get to 1,000 by the end of the month. That would be awesome. I think I need about